Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural, Various and Sundry Villains. And this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this one because it actually did a good job of actually setting up a kind of Monster of the Week kind of episode while having forward momentum on the story. So, this episode starts out and we see this guy going into this gas station, and then we see these two girls. He's kind of checking out, and then he gets something slipped into his pocket, and he falls in love with one of them. They give him orders to rob the cash register and get him all kinds of vodka and all that kind of stuff, and he goes out and he's like, hey, here you go. And she's got this sledgehammer. He's like, oh, what's that kind of for? He's like, well, they go. Mom kind of said not to make sure that the death looked non-magical to keep the hunters away. He's like, what? And then they just beat the shit out of him and kill him. I was like, okay, so now we've got the setup and everything. So, we get into it, and Dean's trying to get Sam out of his funk, doing their research kind of stuff. So, he's going like, oh, here's all this stuff that we can look about for alternate worlds and different realities and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, we could probably find something in here. Sam, of course, is still in his dark place about everything that they do, and it's good and nuanced, in my opinion. I mean, granted, it usually flips between one or the other being in this everything we do really doesn't matter kind of thing, and the other one trying to pull him out. So it hasn't gone complete Mopey Sam yet. So I hope they can just keep that going so it's not Mopey Sam. We don't really need that. So of course, Dean's like, all right, you do what you gotta do. I'm gonna go on a beer run. So, what does this entail? He goes and he pretty much falls into their trap. One of them's lying on the ground, and she's like, help, help, my sister! And of course, at that point, they do the same kind of thing, and Dean falls in love with her. And this seems that they had tried to go for him specifically, so they send him off on a kind of mission thing. He comes back and he's going, hey, yeah! And I'm in love, Sammy! And Sam's like, this is kind of weird. Hold up. He's going, oh, here's the Black Grimoire. I'm just going to go take this to her. And he goes, and Sam, finally his reactions are kind of like, what? Did they ask for that book specifically? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, Dean, I think you're under something. Like, she's probably a witch or a demon. He goes, whoa, wait a minute. Stop being so harsh. Anyway, she's got a sister. And, of course, Sam tries to stop him, but Dean fucking cold cocks him one that completely knocks him out. Like, with one punch, it's like, shit. I mean, we know Dean's good, but when you see it, and see someone on the receiving end like that, being Sam, you're like, you better watch out. So he goes off to give them the book, and of course, he's in the process when, as they're like waiting, one of the other sisters is going, oh, damn it, he didn't bring the car, because Sam took the keys. And of course, he's giving them there, they're getting ready to kind of figure out what to do. And then when, of course, Sam rolls up in the baby, and he's like, stop right now. And, of course, they're figuring out what they're trying to do, but, of course, Dean gets at Sam and is pretty much trying to wrestle with him, and because he had a gun pulled on him, trying to stop him, and they're just pretty much going their way to kind of go out. And, of course, they get to the point where they're wrestling. Sam is trying to find the hex bag that's messing with him, and of course, who shows up at that point? Rowena. And it's like, holy crap. Her being back is a pretty big thing. And that was kind of cool. I like that she's back because it was interesting building up another kind of Crowley character, but with a different kind of vein on it, being a witch and everything. And it's just the way she died. Granted, I know death is a revolving door, but that was a pretty big thing. Lucifer saying that he, like, stomped on her skull until the white meat showed and then lit her on fire for good measure. That's a pretty big thing to kind of come back from. So, then it kind of diverges, and she gets the lowdown about, like, everything. She wants to help them, but she wants to get her a spell so that way she can unlock her full powers. And she learns of Crowley's death, and she's emotional about it. She's angry about it because she said she would have taken her son being alive and hating her rather than having a dead hero. And I like what they did with that with her. And of course, Sam and Dean are distrustful of her, but of course they decide to go off and everything because they don't know where to start, and Rowena has put a tracking spell on the Black Grimoire, so they kind of have to use her. So they kind of go off. We, of course, get more information on the Witch Sisters. They're going through a kind of hardware store, reading the Grimoire. They're familiar with witchcraft and everything, but there's a lot of stuff in the book that they don't truly understand. They're like, okay, we've got enough that we need, but we're going to need a live soul. And, of course, they get one of the boys who was either working there or just walking around there, and, of course, they go off with him, of course, annoying the one-teller lady as well. That's important because she becomes a kind of point of where they live. While this is going on, we get this whole subplot with Castiel and Lucifer, and I really liked how this was done because they're in the cell, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Lucifer is essentially trying to get Castiel to lend him some grace to eat, and seeing them back and forth with that was pretty good. And there's one demon just pretty much trying to rag on Lucifer, saying that he's a big bad, but he can't really do anything with his little stick. And, of course, Cass starts hitting hard on him with Jack, how he's not like him, how he likes fantasy movies and heroes and stopping villains and all that. And it pisses off Lucifer so much that he's able to use his powers to smack a stick. And he goes, okay, kind of pissing off Rage as a motivator. So, while this goes on, they're trying to figure out what to do. The dude comes back, starts to try and mock Lucifer again, but of course he's figured out to get his powers kind of in a workable state, pulls him up, takes him out, and of course him and Castiel get out, and then of course a lot of demons come in, and so they're able to get outside, and Lucifer's really harping and attempts to take grace from Castiel. But of course he says, I've learned from you, and he stabs him. And he doesn't die right away. We see Lucifer's archangel eyes glow, but then they kind of go out. So that's a big kind of thing, because he doesn't blow out like regular angels. And because we don't know exactly what his power threshold is. It's lesser than his usual archangel kind of status is, so it's interesting to see how that's going to affect him. And that was a big thing at the end, being, oh, damn, Castiel's actually learning and trying to, because he's like, I've learned from my mistakes, and stabs Lucifer. So we'll have to see how this affects them going forward, and how this is going to affect Asmodeus going forward now that he has 2 points of his leverage outside of his control. So, that's, yes, movement, story, going forward. While that's going on, we get back to Sam and Dean and Rowena trying to find the two sisters, and of course, Dean goes and tries to canvass the area because they've gotten to the point where the two witch sisters using love hexes to get what they want. They're not going to be popular with the ladies around here. So, of course, they didn't want to leave Rowena alone, so Sam decided to stay with Rowena while Dean went out, and we get some good character development out of this. They're talking, and we get into kind of why Rowena is trying to unleash her full powers. Now, granted, if you're a being like this and you have these powers, you want them unleashed anyway. But she gets into talking about how she felt Lucifer just powerless, and before she was killed, Lucifer showed her his true face, and how that terrifies her at night. And we get into that with Sam saying he has seen that, and he just doesn't deal with it. And even though it's character development, it's important character development in that he has not dealt with that. He just keeps pushing it down and down because the world keeps trying to end. And that really works within the framework of what's going on here. And he goes, I don't deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it. And no matter if you get your powers back, Rowena, you're still going to feel helpless. Because she wants to have that power when Lucifer gets back. Because she knows he will be back. We, of course, know that Lucifer's already putzing around. Sam and Dean believe that he's trapped in another reality, that their mom's sacrifice was worth something. So, of course, Dean gets the information from the lady, gets the address, And as they're about to go out there, Rowena drops a hex bag to have them stuck into place, and they're like, got screwed over again. And Rowena goes to the witch's residence, and we find out that it was all a ploy by Rowena anyway. She told them about the Black Grimoire and everything, and they were trying to resurrect their mother. They needed a soul to do that. They kind of killed the kid, and they're saying, well, it didn't work out exactly as we had hoped, because Mom's now a zombie, and she's impervious to magic. So Rowena pretty much got into their bad graces that way, and they set the zombie mother because she insulted them and their intelligence for doing all the stuff with the Black Grimoire before she came up, so they just set the zombie on her. And, of course, that's when Sam and Dean are able to show up, and we get a good fight scene. They're trying to take on the witches while Rowena is dealing with the zombie mother, and they're getting their asses handed to them because they've amplified their strength and everything, and they're witches. They got more powers. You really don't want to monologue with that kind of stuff. And they weren't able to get their guns on them fast enough once they got everything kind of settled out. So, of course, Rowena is trying to deal with the zombie, and Dean like, shoot her in the head. And, of course, shoots her in the head. Gets to the point where she's able to get around and set off her usual kind of brain exploding spell, and then just have the two witches beat each other to death, which is a pretty badass way to go. Not gonna lie, that was like, yep, that's Rowena for you. So, oh, no problem. I triple crossed you. It's alright. We were on the same side anyway. So, of course, they get the Black Grimoire back, but as they get back to the bunker, we see that Sam allowed her to have the one page that would unleash her powers, and Dean's trying to figure out why that. And Sam goes, listen, I understood the place she was at, her feeling helpless with everything with Lucifer, and I let her have it. And that's on me. If she goes dark, I'll take her out. I'll be the one to put a bullet in her. And wow, there you go. Like, I made a decision, I accept the responsibility for that decision, and I will be held accountable for any repercussions of that. So, hopefully we see that going forward. Because then, after they kind of talk about being in the dark spot of everything we do kind of fuck shit up, Dean's like, listen, even though we don't have a plan, we'll get through this. It's just going through and moving forward. And just keeping on with the pretty much keeping on what we've been doing. Saving people, hunting things. And after that, we get to see the fruits of Rowena's labor. We see her finishing the spell and seeing actual, like, magical change broken from her and her eyes glowing purple. So, I don't know what order of magnitude of power that kind of puts her in, but since we've only seen, like, archangels dealing with that kind of, like, glowy eye thing, I don't know what that's completely symbolizing if she is now she can't be on the level of archangels, but she's at least in a power level set that is kind of different from witches that probably we've seen before. So she could potentially be someone that could open up other portals to other dimensions if Sam and Dean try and use that kind of route, or if the writers are trying to use that route to get to Jack and Mary and figure out how to do that. So that's an interesting way. I'm glad that she's back in, but it almost gets to the point of, okay, she keeps dying and coming back. As long as it's not done ad nauseum, like she's always got an escape plan. Cause she got Lucifer with that trick once. Now she's got him with it twice. It'll just be kind of weird if Lucifer again kills her and she comes back. So I hope that this gets to a point where, okay, any other death from her is more meaningful. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.